graphing using intercepts. The value, so the x-intercept is the value at which the graph crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is the value at which the graph crosses the y-intercept. Sorry, the y-axis. So x-intercept is the value at which the graph crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept is the value at which the graph crosses the y-axis. So up until this point, we have been calling this the b value or the initial value. So that is not new to us at this point. Oops. So it says all x-intercepts have a y-coordinate of 0. So the x-intercept would be a number and then 0. All y-intercepts have an x-coordinate of 0 and the y number. So example 1 says a line has the x-intercept of -2 and a y-intercept of -4. So the coordinates of the x-intercept, if we're going to use our instructions up here, the x-intercept is when x is equal to -2 and y is equal to 0. The coordinates of the y-intercept would be x is equal to 0 and y is equal to -4. So it says graph the line on the grid to the right. So I'm going to graph as best I can, and I know it's not always perfect, but we'll try our best. So if x is at -2, I'm going to have a point here. And then our y-intercept, it crosses the y grid at -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My line is here. And you guys would be using your rulers to draw a straight line as best you can through these 2 points. That's pretty good on a mouse pad. It says, what is the slope of the line? So remember, slope is equal to rise over run. So how much are we rising as we read from left to right? So we're going down here. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we have a down of -4. And our run from that point is 1, 2. Now we can simplify that. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. So it says state the slope-intercept form of the equation. So we know how to do that. So remember, the b value, like we set up here, is our y-intercept. So the b value in this case is -4. That's where our graph crosses the y-axis. And we just figured out our slope to be -2. So in the form of y equals mx plus b, we have our slope x plus or minus 4. So you take your slope, you plug it in beside your x variable, and then your y-intercept gets placed here. If you are given an equation and you are asked to find the intercept, you would just let y equal 0 and solve. If you are given an equation and are asked to find the y-intercept, just let x be 0. That's where this is coming from up here. So if you just substitute 0 in for y, you are going to be solving for your x-intercept. And if you substitute 0 in for x, you will be solving for your y-intercept. So let's try this one. Find the x and the y-intercept. So for this example, let's find the x-intercept first. So 3x minus 2, and our y becomes a 0, plus 6 equals 0, and we're going to solve. 3x, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 6 equals 0. Then we're going to have 3x is equal to -6. Here we're going to divide by 3 to isolate both sides, and x is going to be equal to -2. So you can do the same thing for the y variable. So we're going to just go over here and we're going to substitute x or 0 in for our x variable. Minus 2y plus 6 equals 0. Here we're going to have -2y plus 6 equals 0. Next, we're going to have -2y is equal to -6. And you can skip this step if you need to, this second step here, and rearrange that x right away. We're going to divide out a -2 to isolate y, and our y-intercept is 3. Now, if the question asked for the coordinates of the intercept, you would need to put it in a set of brackets like this. When it's asking just for the intercept, x and y, just like that, is okay. Example 3 says the line 2x plus 3y minus 12 is equal to 0 is in standard form. Find the x and y intercepts and graph on the grid below. So it's basically the same thing that we did above. So if we're going to solve for our x-intercept, we're going to make y be equal to 0. So setting y to 0. And I'm going to skip a little bit of a step here. So I'm rearranging this -12 to the other side to put it here so I can start solving. So 2x is equal to 12. Here I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, and then x is equal to 6. And if I solve for my y-intercept, I'm going to set x is equal to 0 plus 3y is equal to 12. Here 3y equals 12. And then dividing out that 3 from both sides, y is equal to 4. So now I have my intercepts, and I can graph on this grid. So looking at x is equal to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So along my x-axis, x is 6, y is 0, because remember the coordinates are 6, 0, because I said y is 0, x became 6, so these are my coordinates. And my coordinates here, I said x is 0, and I solved y to be 4. So that means I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, draw my dot, and you guys will be using your rulers. I, on the other hand, am becoming a pro at drawing straight lines on my mouse pad for the most part. Just make that dot a little bigger there. And then you have your line. So example 4 says, the line x minus 2y plus 4 is in standard form. Convert the line to slope-intercept form and graph the line on the grid above. So let's convert it to slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form or slope y-intercept form is in the form of y equals mx plus b. So that means if we're going to take our equation here, I'm just going to retype it, x minus 2y plus 4 equals 0. We want it to be in terms of y equals. So in order to do that, we're going to take everything that's not a y and put it to the other side of the equal sign. So this x moves to the other side and becomes negative minus 4. So this positive x and this positive 4 go to the other side of the equal sign and become negative. So remember, we want 2 or y alone and positive. So in this case, we're going to divide out a -2. and then we're going to divide out -2 here, and we're going to divide out -2 here. So we are going to be left with y equals x over 2 plus 2. -4 divided by -2 is +2. So you can leave it like that, or if you really like having a coefficient or a number before the variable, pull out that half and x plus 2. So we've got a fraction as our slope in this question. And remember, slope is always equal to rise over run. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can solve for the intercepts, or you know that in slope-intercept form, you have what you need in order to graph this. So I'm going to change my color. So our y-intercept is +2. So that means our y-intercept is here at +2. Now our slope is rise of 1, run of 2. So rise of 1, run of 2. Now, that means if we wanted to graph the x-intercept, we know it's a run of 2. We would have a point here and a point here. Now, if you can't visualize how to do the slope backwards, that's okay. Because if you only have these 2 points, you still have enough to graph your graph. I'm not sure why these dots are there. Oh my gosh. So let's just take a look at this. So again, you would use your ruler, and it would be much easier for you to use your ruler than me using my finger on a mouse pad. But I know I've gotten really good at it. So if you convert something to slope-intercept form, you can graph it just by using the slope, which is a half in this case. And our y-intercept of +2. But if it's asking you for the intercepts, all you need to do is extend your line until you touch that x-axis. So if I asked you for the intercepts, the x-intercept would be -4, 0, and your y-intercept for the pink line is 0, +2. Okay, so just take a look at that. If you have any questions about using intercepts, just send me a message.